Evening, guys. Thursday night Q&A session
It is.
because you are away this weekend.
We are, yep. I am finishing work, packing up the car and heading off. Well, my car's already actually packed. It's been packed since Tuesday, but heading off to Norfolk for the weekend. So
Nice.
just hope the weather picks up.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It doesn't look too promising, though, does it?
No, me and Lando will still be in the sea. It won't matter. You'll be wet anyway. Won't matter.
So we're doing this tonight. Cool. So we've got not so many questions in terms of specific things, but just a couple of things that we're going through. And I think the first one was just really recapping on something that we erased last week. So we talked about creatine. Okay. And one of the girls on the program, Harry, has said, let me see, creatine again. Sorry. I've read about side effects, bloating, weight gain, etc. Not sure I'm ready for that, so I'm scared to try. Right. So we mentioned this last week, didn't we? So creatine, effectively, creatine is something that is in the muscles anyway. We've got it in our system, and when you take a supplement, all you're doing is topping up what is in there. So you're saturating the muscles. It will, when your muscles are saturated, it will pull water into the muscles. And that's not a bad thing because it means that they're working more effectively, more efficiently, and it kind of gives you that fuller look. Now, if it does pull water into the muscles, then yes, it can cause an increase in the scale weight. But what you've got to, I think, people who are afraid of that scale weight, and I get that it can sort of affect the way people look at it and view it and think about things. I think what you've got to do is weigh the benefits of taking creatine against the side effects. Okay, so the water weight gain only happens while you're saturating the muscles. So for the first sort of 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, you might see a steady increase in your water weight, and that's because the muscles are being saturated with the creatine, pulling the water in. Once they're saturated, that water weight gain stops and it plateaus. All right, and that's it. You should see drops. If you're in a deficit, you should see a drop. Now, if you're worried about the weight gain, I guess one thing you could do is not weigh. Just don't weigh yourself, and just use the other metrics, because the water weight will be distributed around all the muscles. So it's not like when when you're bloated and you sort of get it, you might feel it around
Just
your tummy or
and
whatever.
yeah.
Not like that. It's all over the body. So what you'll find is that if you gain the weight, your measurements won't necessarily reflect that, like you would do, especially during Star Week, and it's that time of the month and you think, God, I can feel it there. So maybe take your measurements, do your photos for a month, not weigh yourself. That could be one way of doing things. And just focus on the action. So when you're not weighing yourself, and I've done this with a couple of the other girls as well, where we're just going to focus on 4 weeks, daily actions, getting your head down, doing the workouts, focusing on your protein, making sure you're hitting your calories, and just trusting the process. And then at the end of the 4 weeks, we should see that weight gain, water weight gain, is spiked. But remember, if you've been nailing all the other basics, the fat loss will be happening. So you could have dropped 3-4 pounds in fat, which will negate that kind of 2-3-4 pound water weight gain. So at the end of the month, you might just see that the weight stayed the same, which I guess is easier to see. Does that make sense?
I think yeah. Because like you say, it's not gonna. And it's like you say, it's remembering that you can't saturate forever. It is just for that set period. So yeah, like Will said, if you are worried about how you'll be affected by that scale weight, if just for that period of time you don't weigh, and then just use your metrics, it's a really good way of doing it, because it has so many more benefits than just worrying about a little bit of water weight gain. Because again, it's not fat. If you're still doing your workouts, you will benefit more, because you'll be able to push harder. You won't suffer as much from DOMS. You'll recover a bit quicker. It can help with your cognitive function. So all of those things definitely outweigh a little bit of water retention, which is helping your muscles.
Yeah, and if you stop the scales, but do other things. So measure yourself, look at how your clothes are fitting. You know, if you're still hitting all the basics, the clothes feel better. But the benefits, remember, it's increased strength, it's increasing your potential to build muscle, it's helping protect your muscle mass as we age. It can help, therefore, protect your bone density. It can help with recovery, improved energy levels during workouts, cognitive function. So, especially for women, especially those who are sort of entering or going through perimenopause, it can help to reduce your brain fog because it can improve. I mean, actually, everybody's going to benefit from improved cognitive function. I could certainly do with a bit of improved cognitive function right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
all the time.
you know, so yeah, so it is kind of, I get the, I do get the thing with, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm afraid of what the scales will say. But at the same time, you've also got to think, hang on a minute, I'm going to let that number and how it affects me stop me from getting the benefits of everything else. So it's kind of one of the things that you've got to look at and go, you know, am I being reasonable here? And yes, I get it, but it is trying to put that kind of worry to bed. And if it does worry you, like we say, just don't wait. Don't wait for a month and then see where you're up to. Next one. Motivation. This is a big one, and this is something that I've had comments from clients, talking to people in the gym, and especially amongst those who did the big New Year, New Me, January big start, and they get
This
into
is,
now,
yeah.
and it's like, and it's this time of year, and I think it is this time. I've struggled with it at the start of January, the end of December, sorry, end of January, start of February. I had that little lull, and I think we all do. I know
Yeah.
you've sort of had a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, if anything, my training's picked up lately rather than gone off. But
Yeah.
it's definitely something I've struggled with in the past, absolutely. And like you say, everyone does, and you will start to notice over the next few weeks the gyms will get a bit quieter again because, like you say, it's those people that are really motivated at the start of the new year, like this is going to be the year, make all these changes, hit it really hard, and then that motivation drops, and it just all of a sudden just goes off completely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's knowing what to do in
And
those
it's
moments of
yeah,
going.
and I think this is one of the things. So I read a book called The Dip by Seth Godin, and I've mentioned this before, and it talks about this period of time where you get, when you start something new, you've got that excitement. It's new, it's exciting, you're motivated, dead enthusiastic, and you will see, and especially with weight loss, you can see quite rapid changes at the start because you know you're nailing your diet, you're hitting the gym, exercising, and you're going to lose initially quite a lot of the bloat and water weight, and we see this big drop. Weight loss cannot happen like that forever. If we could lose 7 pounds a week every single week, we'd disappear to nothing. We've said this in the past, and we've got to realize that that is going to slow down. And because of that, that initial excitement of seeing really quick results is going to drop off. You know, we're going to see this ever decreasing kind of progress. That's normal. What you've got to do is focus on the process, focus on the journey. And there's a phrase that I like that says the man or the person who enjoys the journey travels further than the person who enjoys the destination. And it's so true. If you focus on the process, you are going to, and focus on enjoying the process, focus on enjoying good food, good nutrition, focus on enjoying the exercise, do exercise that you like. Okay, if you absolutely hate running, don't run. If you don't like doing yoga, don't do yoga. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not, one exception to that is strength training, in that I think anybody who can strength train should strength train, but don't go and beast yourself in the gym. If you're not a fan of strength training, don't try and start lifting huge heavy weights. Start small. And one of the things that I do with some clients who struggle with working out at home is we do these little micro workouts that are just 5-10 minutes. That seems to work really well, and they get really good consistency with it, and they start to see results. But just a really simple strategy. We pick two exercises, one upper lower body, one upper body, one lower body. They do 3 sets of 10 of each, done. So it's like 10 reps of a bench press with a minute's rest, then 10 reps, minute's rest, 10 rest. You get that done in like 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Next exercise, squats. You can do body weight squats, goblet squats, whatever. 10 minutes rest, 10 minutes rest, 10, done. And it's easy. And gradually you build the weight up until you find it's difficult, it's a struggle. But doing that 4 times a week, it's something that they can do at home a lot of the times, and it's something that they can do first thing in the morning, later on at night, but set a time and it's just done. That process, it just becomes part of the routine. There's nothing to do with motivation, they just get it done, and then they start to see results. And I think if we start, if we are losing motivation, just think it's a process, enjoy the process, and that makes it easier. The other thing as well is, and this is something that, so I was speaking to my coach last week, no, 2 weeks ago, and we're talking about motivation and things, and he sort of said, he reminded me of my values. Now I'm a big person on values, and I'm very value led. And what he pointed out to me was that one of the reasons I wasn't enjoying all sorts of stuff, training, food, whatever, was that it wasn't aligning with my values. So one of my values, a big one, is family, and my work and training schedule meant that I wasn't spending as much time with family. Therefore, I wasn't going to enjoy it. So I've switched it round. So I was doing some afternoon and evening sessions training. So I'd rather go early morning when people are asleep, get it done. It's hard. I did not realize there was another 4:30 in the day. And I'm not suggesting everybody gets up at 4:30 in the morning before anybody comes for me. But I changed it around, and I also am more strict in my workouts, so I shorten them. Oh, bless you. Alice has just sneezed. So yeah, it's just I think, does it align with your values? Is your goal lining up with what what you stand for? And if it doesn't, then reassess your goal, making sure that it does match with what you actually stand for. And that will help with your motivation. But ultimately, and this is addressing one of the comments from one of the girls, occasionally you need a break. You do. We talked about this last week. You need that break. You need that period of time where you just have a week where you just go, do you know what? I need to rest. I'm not saying don't do any activity. It might just be that you go for a walk. It might be that you just stop tracking, but focus on the habits that you've built. You don't just go and smash pizzas every single day, but focus on good habits and good routines, and then just give yourself a little bit of leeway for a week, 2 weeks, and get back into it. And Gemma's was saying she's going to give herself a couple of weeks of a break, just take it easy. Absolutely, I think that's great. Just focus on, and she sort of said she's going to aim for slightly higher calories than the range that we've set her, and go with that. Give yourself a little bit more leeway, be less strict, and see where it goes from there. But stay active, because one of the things she also said is that lower back is aching. Now that's a sign that you do need a rest. Actually, if you start to find that you're aching in certain body parts, it's fatigue, it's tiredness, and it does probably mean that you need a rest. It means that you just need a little bit of a break to allow the body to recover, and it can happen. I mean, Gemma's been doing this now for 4 months, and that's a fair bit of time, and she's been really consistent in that time. So it's probably time that you do have a week just to deload and have a break, have a rest. But as you said, Gemma, to go with lighter weights, I think definitely lighter weights, because not exercising hasn't made it any worse or better. And it doesn't. Oh God,
No.
how many times have we said this as well?
So many.
people kind of go, exercise is great, makes me feel better, and then they stop exercising and then they feel worse. It's like, not surprising. So yeah, I think definitely, if you're feeling tired and motivation's really, really dropping, and you've been doing it for a sustained period, say 3 or 4 months, it might well be time. Just have a week, maybe dial back on the exercise. If you want to do a workout, go lighter, maybe only do 1 or 2 in the week instead of 3 or 4. Focus on getting your steps in, focus on your habits, and then we go with that, and that refocus and go. The next 8-week block is a good plan. I think I'll go with that one.
I think other thing with motivation is if it is dropping off and nothing else is working, is just stop. And like Will said, as well as remembering your values, also think about your why, like why you're training in the first place, why you're doing this, why you're looking to, drop body fat, why you're looking to, gain strength. Like, what is it that you're working towards? Just refocus on your goals and really have a think as to whether they're still aligning with what you want to achieve. It might change, your why may change over time, but sitting back and refocusing on that can then really help you remember why you're doing this, what you need to do to get there, and just be like, right, we need to reset and go. Once it's a habit, especially when it's building up like an exercise routine, it can be so much easier. Rather than relying on your motivation, I'm doing it because of this. This is what I want to achieve and why. And once it becomes as like, this is your day to train, don't rely on that motivation. You just know you have to get up and go to work on a Monday morning. You go every time. If that's your day to go to the gym, just make sure you go.
Yeah, and it's just that routine. And you've kind of hit the nail on the head there with the why is, and again, I'm going to use my sort of values. So two of my values, one of them is integrity and honesty, and transparency, and then like I say, it's family. My why was to be around for my kids, and set a good example for my kids, for my boys, and I found that I didn't enjoy training when I was trying to push for what I thought should be my goal. So, when I'm trying to get shredded, for example, that doesn't align with my values. That is not what I want to do. I want to be fit and healthy, to set a good example, and to be there for my kids and grandkids. Getting shredded does not align with that. Therefore, I'm not doing that. Okay. So it may well be that your goals, you have this idea of what you think is your goal. Just check that it does align with what it is you really want to achieve. Most people, when I speak to them, they want to be fit and healthy when they're older. They don't want their kids to they don't want to have to rely on their kids to look after them. They want to be there for their own grandkids. They want to set a good example. I work with clients who've had a poor relationship with food and have started to see their own children exhibit the same behaviors, and they don't want that. So they want to build a better relationship around food so that the children have a better relationship around food. That's a key thing. And if that's something that resonates with you guys who are watching this, then think about that. Think about what it is you're trying to achieve. Starving yourself, you will not enjoy a diet where you're starving yourself and forming that bad relationship if you are scared that that's what's going to then be passed on to your children. So think about it. Right, there was one other one on the sheets. Let me just double check. So I've just had one from Katie going, tracking calories. One of the things you found hardest this week, tracking calories. Alice, you've got quite a few good tips on that one. What are your top tips for tracking calories?
It depends how you want to track. People struggle for different reasons. I personally really enjoy using an app that I just find it so simple to set everything on there where I want it to be. And then it's got the barcode scanner, so I can just scan it in, go. If I'm making meals, the most time consuming bit, which is a barrier for a lot of people, is inputting a whole meal. But what you will notice is that you don't have something different for dinner every single day, every single week, the entire year. Like, no one does that. Once you put that meal in once, it saves it. And the majority of the time, it might not be exactly the same, but it'll be rough enough that I know that that is roundabout where it needs to be. So you can just re-input it. So tracking apps are a really good one. If you don't like using them, you don't enjoy the way that they work, or you really just struggle with tracking calorie counting in general, you can instead look at your portion sizes as an option instead. So focus on the portions that you're having, and using your fist for your protein. You make sure you're getting enough veg in. So 80 grams is roughly like a good handful of veg there. Thumb for your fats, and then your carbs as well. So that can be another way if you do not enjoy tracking. But for me, I find tracking apps just the easiest, really. Just setting up your calories. If you're on the program, we set you a calorie range. So it's up to you where you want to set it. If you want to put it in the midpoint, the lower end, the higher end, however that's going to work best for you. and then you can just scan it all on and be done. Some people, I've done it in the past, if I want to, when I've been really on it with tracking, you do learn. The more you do it, the more you learn over time as well. You don't have to track forever. Once you've got a really good understanding of the energy values in food, you don't have to then continue to track. But what you can do is the night before, like input it into the food diaries on the apps, and then oh, I'm a little bit low on my protein tomorrow, or over on my calories there. You can then adjust it, and it's not, whoops, already eaten that now, we've gone over. You're more likely to then go, sod it, we'll try again tomorrow. So you can do it the night before. It's finding what's going to work best for you, I guess. I think it works well for different people in different ways.
I think you're right there, and I think for me a big one that you've mentioned is, so I plan I have an idea of what I'm eating across the
Yeah.
week, and I make sure my breakfasts are fairly consistent. So that's another one. We don't always eat different things. If people think about what they eat across the week, the breakfasts are probably the same, the lunches are similar, and it's the evening meals that are different. But then if you compare one week to the next, you have routine. We have a curry every Monday night. We have curry night Monday night. Really simple, yeah. And then it seems to be a similar sort of thing as we go through. Like Friday nights tends to be a fake away. Sundays is always Sunday dinner, and so on. So you've got consistency. So have those, like you say, enter the recipes into. You've got them, but the night before, the more you do this, the quicker it is. Night before, spend 5 minutes sticking the basics in, and it will give you an idea of what your calories are. Doesn't matter if they're over slightly, because you can always kind of adjust over the following days. But making sure that you've got enough protein, that you've got a decent amount of fiber in there, and that if you need to make adjustments and changes, then you can do. Okay, but it might be that you go, oh, I'm a little bit over in calories, so I'm going to take that snack out, or I'm going to swap that snack for this one because I need more protein, so I'm going to have like a Baby Bell instead of an apple. Yeah. But I think that's a really good one for your tracking, and it is something that gets easier. But it is also realizing that you don't need to do it forever.
Yeah.
I think and that's the other thing with a lot of people who go, I don't want to track because I'll end up doing it forever. No.
Yeah, you don't have to. Once you've got that understanding,
you'll
you'll start to eyeball it a little bit. And again, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it won't need to be, because once you get to that point, you're at a stage where you're training consistently, your food's consistent, and you'll be round about where you need to be, because you'll be having consistent meals. So you will just learn, and it's not forever, but it's just a really helpful tool to help you to get to where you want to be, and to help you to understand more. Because like we've said, through these programs, we want people to be able to go off and do this on their own eventually, to have that solid understanding. And we want you to get to that point where you don't have to be tracking forever, but you know how to continue with what you've already learned.
Yeah. And it's the skills you need to learn. You get a better idea of portion size. I mean, actually, that's a really good point, and it's something I put up on my socials this week. We are crap at eyeballing. If I sort of said to people, right, go and get yourself a tablespoon of peanut butter or tablespoon of Nutella or whatever, you'll get that spoon out, and it's probably twice what the actual recommended portion size, which is a tablespoon, probably twice what the recommended portion size is. And for those two foods in particular, you're looking at 100 calories per serving. You're doubling that. So to actually learn what the true sizes are, pasta and rice are other ones. The number of times you see people just pouring it in the pan and going, yeah, that's roughly.
Cereal's the most depressing.
Cereals, yeah. Like you see this tiny little portion of cereal. I'm like, no. And it's not to say that you need to eat that portion size. It's just being aware of how much you are actually eating. If you have something that fills you, and you go, well, okay, I need to eat that, but that is now 600 calories and not the 200 which is on the packet. You go, okay, maybe I need to swap that. Maybe I need to go to 200 and add something in that's actually going to fill me. So that's what the tracking's there for. And I think if you realize that it is a tool, that it's there to help you, it becomes a little bit less of a chore. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm not going to say that tracking is like,
woo.
The point is that we have built up. If you've got to a stage where you need to track your food, you've probably built up some bad habits. You've got to a stage where you've built up some bad habits, and you're probably overeating. So we need to train ourselves how to guess what portion sizes are, and that's really common in today's society, where portions are bigger than you go to a restaurant and you're probably given food that is twice the size of a portion that what you should be eating. So that's that. Right. I think that was it. I think that's it. Oh, water. Here we go. Don't drink enough early on in the day, so I try to cram more in at night.
I
And
did
then
see that one.
yeah, that's me as well. Hands up. But that's something I've been working on. And it's funny. I had a conversation with. I went to the doctor to get my blood results today. And we were talking about one of the results was that was a little bit off, and she said, how much, ironically, she said to me, were you hydrated? And I said, probably not. I said, out of everything, that is my one area of weakness. I'm terrible for drinking coffee and caffeinated drinks and things, and so I do drink water, and caffeine is a mild diuretic, but I don't drink it in strong enough quantities that it dehydrates me. However, I don't drink enough of the hydrating thing. So I don't drink milk because I'm lactose intolerant. I don't drink fruit juices because they're too sweet for me. And I don't like water on its own. So I need something in there. I need flavor. So what I've started doing is I've got a couple of bottles that I put in the fridge every night, and I put squash in those, those little squirty things.
Yeah, I keep one of them in my gym bag. Yeah.
So I just fill the water up and squeeze that in, and I have those bottles, and it's kind of a non-negotiable for me that I have to have one of those bottles by early afternoon, and then the other one I have to have had by about 5 or 6 o'clock, which means that I'm then not having to smash down 2 or 3 pints of water at 10 o'clock at night to try and hit my water goal, and then wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to have a wee. So yeah, I think having a couple of bottles, those bottles do work. Having those bottles and then carrying them around with you. I carry mine around with me all the time, and I'm constantly getting clients going, "You've left your bottle behind." They pass it to me, and every time they pass it to me, I kind of make myself drink from it.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is when you're having your meals, have a glass of water with your meal.
Yeah.
That helps with getting your hydration in.
Yeah.
But yeah, cramming it all in at night. Now, if you do, and here's a little tip as well. So if you find that you are waking up at night and needing the loo, one of the things you can do is just add a little bit of salt to your last meal, because as we know, salt is something that causes us to retain water. So it will you don't need a lot. It's just a little bit of salt, as in like what you would put on for seasoning. And that might just help you retain a little bit of water so that you don't constantly get up in the night to go to the toilet. There are, it's helped anecdotally. It's helped quite a few of my clients. I'm not saying there's any particular evidence behind it. Just one of those things that you can give it a go. Now, if you are somebody who's worried about some water weight spikes and things, again, that's something you might want to take into consideration. But try it. If it causes a massive spike in your water weight and that affects your head, don't do it again. But if it doesn't, and it does stop you from going to the toilet, then that might be something that helps. I think that's about it. Was there anything else in there? I don't think there's anything else in the questions. I think we covered it.
No, I don't think there was. The only one on water is I'm better on days where I'm in work than I am when I'm off. Because I have it's a 1 litre water bottle that sits on my desk at work. So I'll fill that up first thing in the morning, and then I'll refill it once that's finished. I'll try and make an aim of having that done by about lunchtime, so that before I finish my work day, I've had like 2 litres of water, so that anything else I'm having in the day is additional fluid. And I think it is remembering that it's not just water that is your hydration, like teas, coffees, like that. It does all still count. Fruit juice, it does still count towards your hydration levels. So it doesn't have to be just your water, but like Will said, just be careful if you're drinking too much of your caffeinated drinks. But I also find it easier to drink if it's through a straw. So I'll drink far more water if it's a bottle with a straw than if I have to gulp. But then again,
I do have a bottle with a straw, but it's so hard to suck through that I end up taking the lid off and drinking.
Yeah, no, mine, I find it so much easier to drink more when it's through a straw. If you are doing that and you are using squash, though, just be careful of your dental health. But yeah, if you're just having plain water, that's easier for me than gulping it through like a bottle with like the big openings. But yeah, rather than a small bottle, have a bigger one, because if you are stuck at your desk all day, like I have days like that, having a bigger bottle means you don't have to refill it as often, but you can then still get your water intake in through the day. again, it's that visual cue, it's in front of me,
And that's a really key one.
isn't it?
And then
Yeah.
the other side of sleep as well is just, I think with sleep, it's just understanding what those things that can impact on it, you know. So making sure that you don't have the caffeinated drinks close to bed,
Yeah.
making sure that you don't drink alcohol too close to bed, not eating too close to going to bed either. Now, some people do need a little bit of food before they go to sleep because they can't go to sleep on an empty stomach,
Yeah.
but don't eat too much. And then, you know, making sure that your room's dark, make sure that it's quiet. If it isn't, having some earplugs or white noise, making sure that it's not too warm or too cool. But there's all these little things to consider, you know, so much so that I've actually, this is my non-alcoholic. So it's a Laser Crush alcohol-free IPA.
Ooh.
Now, and this is actually, it's something that a lot of people go, oh, what's the point of drinking alcohol-free? For me, the sensation of cracking a can, it signals the end of the day. I also like the taste of beer. Now, this is it actually tastes like beer, this one. A lot of them are rank, but this one I do. I'm not going to advertise. Oh, no, I am. Beavertown, for anybody who's interested. It does taste like a real ale. And it's really nice. And one of those, there's no alcohol in it. So I don't get any of the side effects, negative effects of that. It allows me to unwind. And there is some, it's actually because of the electrolytes in it, this is actually quite hydrating.
There
So
you
this
go.
is another way of getting my fluids in. But yeah, that'll hopefully help with sleep. Some tips there. Lots of little things there.
Yeah.
Good. We were going to go on to menopause, but I think we've been recording now for 30 minutes. I think,
Yeah, we'll save
not
that one for
menopause,
next
the
week.
cycle. That was it. It was the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
We'll save that one for next week and do something about how the menstrual cycle, and we'll do a little bit of an introduction to that one. There's a massive thing at the moment about how, you know, training around the menstrual cycle, dieting around the menstrual cycle.
It's
And
the new hype, isn't it?
yeah, and I've seen and that and hormone health and insulin things, and it's there's so much, and that's not to say that the menstrual cycle does not impact, because clearly we know it does, but it does not impact people in the way that some of these influencers, some of these so-called health gurus, fitness experts are having you believe. They're coming up with a problem that doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
They sell you a solution that's not needed. And not
Yes,
something
we'll
to
go
be.
into that next week.
We'll do that next week. All right. Cool. Enjoy your weekend in Norfolk.
Thank you. I'm sure I will.
And I will enjoy my nice quiet weekend. I've got Saturday afternoon check-ins, doing all the check-in videos, I think. I was going to try and do some tonight, but it's now 10 to 9 and I am up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I think I am going to stop work.
I think that's a good idea. Absolutely. Have some dinner, Will, and get to bed.
Follow my own advice. All right, Nalis, I will catch you next week. Enjoy your weekend away. But yeah.
Thank you.
All
Yeah,
right, guys. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.